up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Game Time here on the brand new Game Time Sports Channel. That's right. Very excited to have you all joining us today to talk about everything that went on in Week 14 in the NFL and get into some World Cup news as well. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, joined as always by the gentleman over there, Winston A. Marshall, doing his thing, and must be a very relieved Dallas Cowboys fan this Monday morning. How are you doing, Winston? And how was your birthday? Happy birthday.
I appreciate that because Lord knows the Cowboys attempted to ruin it. That's for damn sure. I came off of probably one of the more epic birthdays I have thrown. I couldn't come up with an idea, a theme, and then I was like, you know what? I've had some really good birthdays. Holy fuck. What if I make my birthday a recreation of my 34 previous birthdays?
Oh, so
and
smart.
So including that was having folks, I'll see if I have a few pictures here, was having folks come dressed as their favorite version of me over the years, whatever they wanted. One homie took this one of me in my little overalls when I was a kid. She went, let's see if let me turn this light off. Hold on.
There you go.
There we go. So she came as
that's cute. Look at that.
The version of me in like overalls and whatnot. There we go. I've just got to find that focus spot. Yeah. Another one of me in college at a toga party. My homie came as the toga version of me right there. Yep. Let's see. And so a lot of just like fun people like going into the theme, man. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. We went did all the childhood stuff. So the mini golf, the laser tag. Instead of an arcade, we went to Dave & Buster's where we met John Legend. My friend's titty popped out in front of John Legend's face.
Whoa.
It was a whole thing. She didn't mean to. There's a dodgeball game now at Dave & Buster's, if you didn't know. And she was throwing so hard, she didn't notice. She goes, oh, my tit. And as she says it, she looks up, and John Legend's there with his kid, and he just goes, excuse me.
Like, excuse me. Yeah, that's what John did. Yeah. All of me wants all of you right now. Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, my God.
I totally get it.
Shit.
Those are the best. Those are the best moments.
It's cool. It's cool, man. I'm a year older, a year wiser, a year where everything hurts a little bit more. So, I'm here for it. And these Cowboys really tried to fuck my shit up. They really did. But I was not going to let them take my power, and they must have got the message.
That's right. They must have. Free the Nipple is back. Hell yeah. There you go. Put it together. No. It's a sports show. Don't get us we respect any and all women. Let's move forward here. We're going to jump into so much going on in Week 14 in the NFL. A lot of big games happening. Usually I like to have the block of 6 games right at the beginning. Then we take a break and jump into the rest. But there were a lot of big games. So we still put some in best of the rest, but don't be surprised. We're going to talk about them as well. And of course, we're not 100% monetized yet. So we got to get to that 1,000 subscribers. We're at 330 as we're recording right now. So if you're watching us, and a lot of you do watch us, we get over almost 800, 900 views right now as we come into the new channel. I'd appreciate you all hitting that subscribe button and hitting that bell button so you see when we're dropping all the content we do here on the Game Time Sports Channel. Get us to 1,000 subscribers, please. There's going to be all kinds of content coming. Give it some love for sure. And go and watch some of our stuff as well. I'm going to be uploading all the sports programming from the Outlaw Nation channel on to this channel. It's going to be a monumental task this entire week, but I'm going to put them up like 2 at a time every day starting tomorrow. So just kind of get involved in that as well. So there'll be a lot of content for you all to go back and watch. And I'd appreciate if you watch it. Just turn the sound down, go play video games, go do whatever. Leave it playing on one of your monitors there so we can get the watch hours. All right, there's all my plugs. And don't forget we don't have any super chats, but the Streamlabs are available. The address is right there on the graphic. I'm going to pin it in the chat in just a second. But let's jump into our first game without further ado here, Winston. And that is Jalen Hurts and these Eagles, man, keep doing their thing. Absolutely decimated these Giants, 48-22. Jalen Hurts thrown for 2 touchdowns, ran for another. They clinched a second straight playoff berth, their 5th in 6 years. Jalen Hurts threw for 217 yards, hitting Devontae Smith with a 41-yard touchdown, A.J. Brown on a 33-yard touchdown. He also ran for 77 yards and a touchdown. He became the first quarterback in NFL history to rush for at least 10 touchdowns in consecutive seasons. And the running game got going as well. Miles Sanders ran for 144 yards and hit the 1,000-yard mark for the season. And Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor did what they could for the Giants, but they were outmatched almost from the beginning here, Winston, clearly showing you that they are the premier team in the NFL right now. Because the Giants are trying to fight for that playoff spot and tied the Commanders last week. They got destroyed at home by these Eagles. So are they becoming even more of a juggernaut every week? What do you take away from this game?
The thing that you needed to have happen has really helped them. You have to lose. You have to lose at least one.
Good point.
And I think it's because it teaches you something. It teaches you about your weaknesses. It teaches you about what to do when you're in a down situation. What do you look like?
Yeah.
They have looked pretty much unstoppable since that. And the only team that I think can take them now, I was going to say us until this game. This game that we just had, we'll talk about in a minute.
Okay.
I'll take that back. I still have faith that we'll win. But
okay.
Do I feel good about it? No. I said faith. I didn't say logic.
Right.
So it's the Niners. It's the Niners defense is terrifying. We'll talk about them too.
Sure.
But these Eagles look completely unstoppable. For Miles Sanders to get over 150 from scrimmage plus 2 touchdowns.
Right.
For Jalen Hurts to be moving the way he's moving, being able to spread the ball to both of his top tier receivers. This defense is nightmarishly scary on their end too. They are a well-rounded team. The only thing that will stop the Eagles, honestly, the only unit that doesn't look great is their special teams unit.
Yeah.
That is the weakness. If you can take advantage of that, if you can get some blocked punts or field goals, if you can run something back on them, that may be your saving grace, but that wasn't the case for the Giants. And it's not to say that the Giants are just all of a sudden dog shit. They're not, but no, there's a reason why they couldn't beat us either time. They're good. They're not great. I do not have faith in Daniel Jones. Some people in New York do. Good for you. I don't get it either.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing to know is that Saquon already is looking very similar to Ezekiel Elliott. He has flashes of greatness, but it's very clear that the Saquon Barkley that everybody was so excited about for New York, he's not home anymore. I know that this Eagles defense is good, but you expect for the premier running backs, and they do with a little bit of occasion where they don't, but they always step up.
Yeah.
He just didn't bring it. I mean, he only had what looks like here, 48 yards from scrimmage. I know you didn't let him run more than 9 times.
Yeah.
But he was averaging 3.1. So they made the decision that maybe it wasn't the best game plan to do that. And I know you got behind pretty quick, but he is your premier player on that team, supposedly. You need him to step up. So the Giants will most likely either Washington or the Giants will still make the playoffs. Maybe all 3 of us still, who knows? But these Eagles, bro, this is I don't see a team in the NFC stopping them except for San Francisco. And we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we will. Absolutely. And the Giants, I mean, they're in some trouble right now. They only have 1 win over their last 6 games, 1-4-1 that tied with us last week. So, and they play us this week in Washington. So it's going to be a very interesting game. I mean, if the Commanders don't pull this game off and get the victory, we have no business even dreaming about even trying to get into the playoffs. This is such an important victory, or such an important game rather, and hoping for a victory here because we need that, and for our divisional record as well, which is not that great. Got to get that victory just in case, because those Seahawks keep winning, losing, not sure what they want to do. And look out, here come the Lions. Look out, everybody. Here come the effing Lions, for God's sakes, which we'll get to in a little bit as well. I want to get your thoughts on this, Winston, real quick. Is this a new version of punting that we haven't heard about in the NFL before? Can we take a look at this? I mean, do you just drop it and then kick it from there? I mean, is that a new thing? Are they teaching this now in school for punters? What is happening? Did this guy have money on the game and therefore drop the ball? What's your thoughts on this there, Winston?
It was all that hair. Pull that back up. You see all that hair, bro? It clearly had way too much chemical in there to get that shit permanently straighted out and
Let's
flowing.
Take a look. Look at that.
That is so much product, bro. That's what that is. He done fried so many brain cells. And he looked like he kind of twisted his ankle the way his bottom foot hit at the end, too. Watch this. So he's like, oh. And then he did like too much product, bro. Too much product. That's what that shit is. I'm trying to tell you. It's too luxurious.
I know the World Cup's happening, but people, please, for the love of God, let's not do these. Let's not do these.
He really wanted to make the USA team at the end there, huh? We're already out, bro.
already out, bro. Yeah, go speak to Troy Polamalu. He'll help you with a head and shoulders square you right away. So yeah, we absolutely agree with Winston. I mean, the Eagles just look fantastic, and I kind of am enjoying it. Although I'm definitely afraid that this is going to be the next 10 years of the NFC East existence, and it scares the living shit out of me for sure. Because Iannucci's a damn good coach too, man. He's got that team squared away. Let's move on to these 49ers, which you keep talking about here. Winston A. Marshall, Brock Purdy. He is the first quarterback to beat Tom Brady in his first start in the NFL here. He led the 49ers to an absolute ass kicking of Tom Brady and these Bucs, 35-7. He ran for 2 touchdowns. He threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for another score. And that defense absolutely shut down Tom Brady as well. Purdy, the only thing that went wrong in this game, though, is having Deebo Samuel get that injury. It is a high ankle sprain. It's not a knee that came out afterwards. They said it's not a serious injury, but it is an injury. So monitor that. But if you don't have Deebo Samuel, guess what? You have Christian McCaffrey. He ran for 119 yards, added a touchdown on the ground and running for 38 yards for that. So incredible stuff here. Brady was 34 for 55 for 250 yards and a touchdown, two interceptions. But Brock Purdy is the story here, man. Quote, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in this year's draft, played at Iowa State, didn't really surprise a lot of people or impress a lot of people, got on. This is their 3rd string quarterback. And Nick Bosa, after the game, said, we've got ourselves a quarterback. So this is incredible, man. If this is the thing that was missing for the 49ers to get to the Super Bowl, it's going to be a titanic clash if they play these Eagles in the NFC Championship game for sure.
I don't like it. I don't need the Niners being good. I don't need the Eagles being good. I don't like it.
For sure.
And I think the thing that makes me really sad is poor Trey Lance, bro. It was a situation where clear Jimmy G was okay. But Jimmy G wasn't blowing anybody out of the water. He was holding it down while the defense did what they do, right? You got Christian McCaffrey, and it was like, let Christian McCaffrey cook, let that defense cook, and let Jimmy just be around. And now poor Trey Lance is out here looking at these streets like as his recovery is going. I don't know about you, man, and I know that like everybody has that dog, that competitor in them. I would be sitting here being like, why am I rushing back? This sucks.
Oh, yeah.
This motherfucker done took my job. Now, again, it is 1.5 games. It's not enough to completely write out anything off of, but the motherfucker had a 92.8 QBR, bro. Like, he is looking real good.
They benched
He's looking real good.
They benched him near the end of the game because they were like, son, you've done enough. Relax, take the break. They don't do that for the first start quarterbacks. For God's sake,
you have to because
of course
God help you if you lose number 3.
I know.
If you lose a 3rd quarterback, clearly you were not destined to do shit, bro.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing about the Niners. It's crazy is like because they started off so rocky.
Yeah.
It still feels like some weird underdog shit from them, but bro, they're 9-4. They're only behind us by a game.
Yeah.
Like that's. Oh God, I don't know what's worse, the Eagles being good or the Niners being good. It both fucking sucks.
Yeah, and at some point, these Niners are going to, I don't know, man. It's kind of scary to see them playing this well because I mean, you kind of feel like they go from wealth to wealth to wealth, the 49ers in a lot of ways for multiple generations or decades. And it's a little frustrating. You can't seem to put them away. They're like Matt Damon and fucking Rounders. You just can't seem to put this kid away. They seem to keep coming back. They're on their 3rd quarterback, and they're able to do this. Incredible stuff to see from the 49ers. But the Buccaneers are in trouble here, Winston. I mean, already came out reports before the game that Tom Brady was saying he wants to come back next year and that all options are on the table. I think that's Tom saying, I want to get the fuck out of here, son, and I don't want this guy coaching me anymore. They are not doing as well, it's sad to say, than they were under Bruce Arians. So I feel like Tom Brady's maybe kicking the tires, but not a lot of teams are out there looking for a Tom Brady anymore, man. I think the market is drying up almost week to week for these quarterback needy teams.
Bro, the fact that if the Panthers win out, they win the division
with Sam motherfucking Darnold, man.
Are you the Panthers? If they win out, win the NFC South, bro. I'm just of the mindset here. I have to ask him to look straight into the camera. Was it worth it? Was it worth letting your divorce be this public that people have
know.
blamed it on your career? You could have had a million other things going on specifically with that. We don't know. We're not in your house. We weren't in your household. So we don't know what was going on between you and the fam, right?
Right.
But you know what it looks like? It looks like you decided, nah, football's more important than family. I still got rings to win, bro. This looks like such a shitty decision.
Yeah.
I know you're not gonna watch this, Tom Brady. You don't know me. I hope one day I meet you, bro, just because like you are one of the GOATs of all time. Like that's cool. But like
just keep your titties in your shirt, man. Yeah.
It wasn't my titty. It wasn't my titty, John. It was my friend's titty. She was so excited because she got the high score and they said, oh, my tit. And there's John Legend. But the point is, Thomas Patrick Edward Brady, I believe that's how you say your full name.
Okay.
Sir, even if you still wanted the football, the optics look so bad for you to be getting that ass whooping like this, bro. Like, my God.
He threw some bad throws. I could see if you could blame the defense or blame the special teams. I watched a lot of that game through the red zone. There's some bad throws from Brady on the doorstep of the goal line. These are some uncharacteristic throws he's doing. And so it's like, where do we go from here? Because Belichick is essentially crashing and burning. And you see Tom Brady on the other side. It's not looking that good either here for Tampa Bay. So, I mean, in some fucked up way in my mind, I'm like, can these guys come back together in the offseason? And do you see Tom Brady come back for one last hurrah in New England? If I'm Bill Belichick, I'm putting all the bridges and the bricks back together and building that bridge again, apologizing and asking him to come back and be the quarterback for these New England Patriots. And he can bring whoever the hell he wants to bring along to work out or help him get in shape. I'll do it.
I don't even think it's that. Hopefully we'll talk about it, but the Patriots, but like, it's not that Mac Jones is that awful. They just remember this is what, his second season.
Yeah.
So give him a second. And on top of that, you saw him cuss it out the other day talking about, let me throw the goddamn ball. They're not giving him the opportunity to flourish. You know what I'm saying? So that's it.
Or maybe they don't trust him. Maybe they don't trust him because they've seen him.
If that's the case, if you can't trust your quarterback, then you're fucked. You literally, you need to be able to trust every position, but you damn sure need to be able to trust the leader of the team and the leader of the offense. You know what I'm saying? Like you need them to you need to believe that they're going to make some stuff happen. So if they've already lost faith in Mac Jones, we're having a completely different conversation. But I think it's one of those things where it's like, it sounds like Brady and Belichick aren't enemies. But they're not friends. And I don't think that that does anything to go back with your tail between your legs back to the Patriots. If you want to try and find a different team maybe to go to that's just a quarterback away. We keep saying it about the Colts. But the problem is they keep trying to fill that position with fossils.
Playing for the Colts.
But you keep trying to fill that position with fossils, bro. You shoved Peyton Manning in there, and he did get you 2 Super Bowl appearances in one. Or no, he left for the Broncos. Sorry, you had Andrew Luck. He obviously was doing well until they decided I don't want this shit anymore.
Luck.
So you tried to plug in Rivers. Didn't have anything left in the tank. You tried to plug in fucking Matt Ryan. Definitely didn't have anything left in the tank. You tried to plug in Carson Wentz last year, and same thing. He never really had much in the tank to begin with. Like, I know Eagles fans were thinking their farts didn't stink when they were like, we got it. This is our franchise, God. So I just maybe because we saw some flashes of greatness last week. Remember that come from behind victory. So it's not like he's completely dead. He's not. But this is Michael Jordan and the Wizards, bro. This ain't GOAT Brady no more. I'm still a very good quarterback, but I ain't that guy no more.
Yeah, maybe. Could be Peyton going to the Broncos, though. Could be maybe a year left in his career, and you adjust the offense. I don't go to the Colts because Jeff Saturday's the coach. I don't trust a guy who has had no head coaching experience
for now
to coach me,
bro.
Well, he's making it clear he wants to keep this guy. I don't know.
Well, okay, if that's the case, then yes. If I'm Brady, I make a demand of Jeff. We've been friends for years. I've seen you at events. You're not going to be the coach. You give me anybody but Jeff Saturday, and I'll make it work. But I don't know. This is 1,000% Wizards Jordan.
I hear Raiders in the wind, and certainly in our chat, people suggesting the Raiders. I could see that, I guess. kind of a new stadium. McDaniels is his former
What are you
offensive
offering?
coordinator.
What I get it, but what are you offering? I'm looking at the teams and what is missing.
Yeah.
The
Well, he's got
the
Devontae
Colts.
Adams, dude. Devontae Adams is a great receiver.
Sure, he
Best
is. But
receiver
that's one. I
Randy
agree.
Moss.
But that's one guy.
Yeah,
who else is there? Wallen, Darren Waller.
Yeah, Waller. Yeah,
keeps getting hurt.
Yeah,
so you don't have him as a backup, and there's nobody outside of Devontae Adams. And Brady's made it clear he needs his one guy he can always depend on, but he needs at least one other thing that's like substantial.
Yeah.
And so I would need to see something else there. The reason why I mentioned the Colts, you've actually got a pretty decent young receiving core, and that defense is actually knock you in the jaw. It's just that their offense is so bad they get tired. And if Jonathan Taylor comes back and he looks like Jonathan Taylor, you have arguably the best running back in the league on top of that. You plug in Brady, he doesn't have to do quite as much. That's why he won down in Tampa Bay. He was still doing Brady things that first year, but that team was already good to go. They just needed somebody to come plug in, and that's what he did. So,
I mean, you've got Hunter Renfro's on IR now, so he won't be back for a while. Josh Jacobs is still your running back. Not a bad running back to have there, but you got Devontae Adams, DJ Turner, Mac Hollins, Keelan Cole. This is not an inspiring receiving core. Darren Waller, as you said, on the IR, Foster Moreau, Jacob Hollister. Those are fine tight ends, not great tight ends. So you might have an excellent point. They've got a good defense, but you're right. They're kind of lacking in offensive weaponry. So we'll see if that's a situation that he kicks the tires on. I'll tell you who looks good, especially if we don't make the playoffs. This team right behind me.
What'd you do? I didn't look. I didn't look up what y'all did. I don't care. What'd you do?
This team right behind me could look good for Tom Brady. I tell you that right now. Tom Brady.
Oh, you're saying if you wanted him,
you
would want
like Jordan
Tom Brady
coming to Washington one more time, baby.
You would want Brady?
Oh, I would take Brady in a heartbeat. Not even a question. Right now, with this defense and these receivers, I think Tom Brady could, and our Brian Robinson Jr. I think this is a really good situation for Tom Brady if he was to come in and be the quarterback at least for a year. Let's see what we got. Why not? I mean, Heineke is fine, but we'll see how Heineke does in this game on Sunday. If he shits the bed in this game on Sunday, then I absolutely think the Ron Rivera and everybody in the Washington organization should be reaching out, except for Dan Snyder. Stay in your fucking boat. Should be reaching out to Tom Brady and asking him if he's interested. Just throwing it out there.
You don't want AA Ron?
What?
If you're gonna go for an old quarterback, you don't want AA Ron instead?
Who's AA Ron? Who are you talking about? Aaron?
You know who the hell AA Ron is?
I don't. Who are you talking about?
Aaron Rodgers, fool.
I don't want Aaron Rodgers anywhere near my organization. I don't want that guy and his corrosive 9/11 conspiracy ass anywhere near my fucking team because I'm already dealing with MAGA Jack Del Rio. I don't want Aaron Rodgers 9/11 conspiracy coming in and fucking up my whole team. No, thank you. I'll deal with soft MAGA Brady, but no way am I going to have Aaron Rodgers be the coach or the quarterback, rather. All right, let's move on here before I get myself in trouble.
So much, bro.
Let's move on to the Buffalo Bills here. I'm wearing my Bills Mafia shirt in honor of their victory. I've also lost a couple of pounds, so give me some love here. But it fits now, finally. But they overcame the elements, the snow, and everything that was happening here in this game against the Jets in New York, and they won 20-12. The scoreline betrays it a little bit closer than it actually was. The Bills, it was a tight 0-0 game for a majority of the first half. And then slowly but surely, the Bills started choking the life out of these Jets. Certainly got in the backfield, nailed Mike White with a horrific hit that looked like something out of an anime cartoon. Absolutely doubled over from being shot. The linebacker hitting him like he was shot out of a cannon. White, but he did come back and finish out the game. But Josh Allen led these Bills, and even though he didn't have the greatest game, he took care of business through a 24-yard touchdown pass to Dawson Knox in the closing minute, then scored on a 5-yard run himself. The Bills have now won four straight games after they had lost a couple games, including to these same Jets, 20-17, and the Jets have lost 4 of 6 now. So they're not looking so good, even though White threw for 268 yards and no touchdowns or interceptions. So I take away that this was a good professional victory for the Bills against a team that was up for it, but in the end didn't have enough in the tank to take care of business. They played them tough. It just wasn't enough. And so I think we got a snapshot of where the Jets are, which is close, but not quite there. and the Bills, who are realizing, hey, after those 2 losses, we got to take care of business. So what do you take away from this game?
My takeaway is that I didn't know that Bill Goldberg played for the Bills. Like,
Spear.
like honestly, you didn't have to hit my guy Mike White that hard. He's not even my guy, but like that was just goddamn, that was mean.
Yeah.
Like, holy Jesus. And then my boy said, and even Romo goes, ooh, I felt that one. Yeah, that's a cracked rib. I've had a few of those. That is a cracked
Romo's
rib.
Commentary on that was genius. Absolutely
it was
genius.
Really funny. I mean, not really. It was kind of sad, but he was just like, ooh, yeah, nah. Bro, and then you see that little foot kick? We've all had that when we've really hurt something. Watch his feet flutter. He's just like, oh God, oh, it hurts. Watch. Oh my Jesus. Oh, like, dude. Poor Mike White. He literally
doubled over into this guy. Both arm and legs were wrapped around the dude. It's insane. Oh,
bro. I feel really, really bad for him in that regard, just because that looked painful. That looked insanely painful. I just think it's this. I think the Jets are still very good, but they have too many injuries to key players. They're done. Yeah. They'll make the playoffs. Hell, they might, depending on their matchup, they may even win a game, but I do not see them doing much the rest of the season because of these injuries. You lost offensive linemen. You've lost defensive linemen. You've lost, I believe, 2 corners. You've lost your starting rookie stud running back. Yeah. You lost what you thought was now your savior at quarterback. I don't know how permanent it is, but it's just not the Jets season. It's not. I think what this was an incredible look at what the Jets can be. And if they keep this momentum and they can stay healthy next year and they can add another piece or two, the Jets could easily make the Bills a laughingstock. I genuinely believe that they have the kind of talent that could be what comes of this, but it's not this year. And then as far as the Bills go, you were playing a division rival, so they, could potentially have your number like that. It's kind of wild to me that if you're trying to now make this push for being the team, you can't, in the NFC or the AFC East, you can't let them stay that close. I need Josh Allen to come in and just dominate. I know they were the favorites. They don't necessarily look like it anymore. They're still good, but they're not like, this is just a very pedestrian game here. Only 147 yards in the air. Yeah. You only had 102 yards rushing, and not from any single player. It was kind of spread around, however. And then the fact that you had standout plays from Knox and Diggs, but you didn't really have that moment where they dominated the game. I need the Bills to be more at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, and he was. I think Josh Allen was asked after the game, because I think one of the press guys asked. He said, "I don't think your offense is good enough. This is not a Super Bowl winning offense." One of the reporters flat out said that to him, and after he answered his question, which I thought was really fucking ballsy of a reporter to say that shit, because you never know, especially because I bet that reporter's never fucking played a down in his life of football. So to me, I thought that was a bit, and Josh, to his credit, was like, okay, and moved on to the next question. So I like that there's doubts here. I think Josh Allen operates best when he's doubted, when he's an underdog, when people aren't sure about him. And to be fair, like you said, Winston, these Jets, they're good. They're not damn good yet, but that defense is a horror to play against. And certainly they knew exactly how to play these Bills. Remember, they'd beaten them a few weeks earlier, 20-17. So it's a divisional foe as well. So they knew how to play these Bills really well. But to their credit, the Bills, they handled it. They fought back themselves, took care of business, and got the victory. So they may be a tough out in these playoffs themselves. And the Jets are on the outside looking in. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It's the Chargers, Dolphins, Bengals, Titans, Ravens, Chiefs, Bills. The only team right now of those top 7 that I think is suspect are the Titans. Everyone else, I think, deserves to be in the playoffs at this point, and everyone below them, I don't think deserves to be in the playoffs.
Chargers, I don't think so. And
after the victory against Miami, they shut down Tua.
I know, and I think that's huge. I genuinely do. They have played suspect all year, also because of injury. People are back. What makes me nervous? Right. So my point is just this. Justin Herbert, I think, has been getting unfairly criticized.
Me too.
When he doesn't have his top weapons, he doesn't have an O-line that's protecting him. The kid is good. He just give him an opportunity to actually cook instead of just fucking him up.
Yeah.
But the same thing I feel about the Jets, I feel about the Chargers. This is a young team that can genuinely win some games. Yeah. They can genuinely run the table, but you have too many injuries on the books this year. I don't see you making a lot of noise. But all the other teams you mentioned, they're in pole position. They just need an opportunity to explode. And this is the time to put up or shut up. You're at the end of the year. Let's see what you got.
It's going to be a tough road, man. They play these Lions next week who are on a fucking tear. Then they play the Jaguars, who are showing that they know how to play this game again if they destroy the Titans. They're playing at Seattle in that 13th man, and then 12th man, and the Dolphins in Miami. So this is a tough road over these next 4 games for the Jets. I don't see them winning it out. Maybe one victory out of those 4 right now when I'm looking at the schedule and the injuries, as you said. And we don't know how much Mike White has been hurt. He came back in the game and finished off the game, but we don't know what the extent of those ribs injuries are going to be, how that's going to affect his throwing motion. And look, he had a chance to come back and tie that game with 40 some seconds left on the clock. His passes looked like he was wincing and he was having trouble throwing that ball. And then they just went out 4 and out and they were done. So to me, I have a lot of questions right now with the Jets, even though I love the story. I want them to get in. I would love it if they got in, but I just feel like they don't have quite enough. It's like a battlefield, right? People are coming over the top and you keep seeing these soldiers getting knocked down, getting knocked over, getting killed, and there's not quite enough to get the job done. And I feel like that's what's happening with the Jets. So we shall see, though. We shall see. All right, let's move on to, or actually, should we take a break? Yeah, let's take a break real quick since we're after our 3rd game, and we'll be right back to talk about some more football right after this. All right, Winston, let's get into the next game here. It's a big game that happened here. Jared Goff and these Detroit Lions, after starting the season 1-6, they have won 5 out of the last 6. They're sitting here and they destroyed the Vikings. I'm going to tell you something. I don't bet money. I almost put money on the Lions beating the Vikings yesterday. I was this close to looking it up and seeing how much it would cost to drop a few ducats and see what I could win here. I had a feeling because these Lions have been on a tear. They figured out whatever was wrong with them over those first 7 games, which wasn't much, just a few tweaks. And damn if they haven't fixed it. And Jared Goff looks like old school Jared Goff that led the Rams to the Super Bowl. He was incredible. Threw a 41-yard pass to rookie Jameson Williams, who was playing his first game since he was injured earlier in the offseason. Then he threw a 48-yard pass to DJ Chalk for 2 of his 3 touchdowns in the first half. Look, the Vikings came in needing to win or tie to clinch the division title, and they didn't get the job done, even though Cousins threw for 425 yards, including Justin Jefferson getting 11 catches for 223 yards, but it was Dalvin Cook. They keyed on Dalvin Cook and shut him down for only 23 yards on 15 carries. And Goff was threw for 330 yards here. Cousins was 30 of 40. But I mean, at the end of the day, these Lions never looked like they were in danger of losing this game. And that has got to scare everybody in the NFC. Like, legitimately, Goff can throw, Goff can go. If his confidence has been fixed and that defense is ready to go and Campbell has his guys like an army ready to go to battle every week, they're going to be a tough out if they sneak into these playoffs. And there's a real good chance they could.
I look, man, good for Detroit. I always love the notion of when teams on Hard Knocks actually have a good season.
Yeah,
makes you feel honestly, because when you watch, you start to like fall in love with some of these players where you want to see them succeed.
Yeah,
you see this coach out here doing the up downs, and you're like, God damn, what a boss. I hope that he has a good season coaching this year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to root for them. So it's fun to pull for this team because of that. But let me ask you a question, John. Yeah. How many games do you see that you would hear that your quarterback was 31 of 41, throwing 75%, for 425 yards, 2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Your star receiver has 11 receptions for 223 yards.
Yeah.
And you lose
and
by
9. Yeah.
Or sorry, by 11. Even worse, by 11.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
insane. Crazy.
I knew all along these Vikings were a suspect. I knew all along when people were like, oh, they're undefeated. They're 8-0, 9-0. When we had a chance to beat them and we didn't finish the job, I was so frustrated by that because we had a chance to really find them out. And then we had to deal with Kirk Cousins dancing on a plane with gold chains. Get me the fuck out of here. This team is suspect, and they've given up 400-plus yards here, as Haskell's telling us. 5 straight games, this defense has given up 400-plus yards to the opposing offense. So that is insane to me, and you're not going to win many games, and you're not going to make any noise in the playoffs. And all these people, including RG3, who should know better, were out here stumping for the Vikings on their social media. Y'all need to put respect on their name. Y'all need to respect it. Fuck that nonsense. This team will show you how they don't step up to the plate every goddamn year, and they're doing it again this year, especially over the last 5 games. They've been found out. And don't be surprised that they get in the playoffs, but they're one and done. Don't be surprised that Kirk Cousins is not the team to lead you, or quarterback to lead you to the promised land.
You still need to put respect on their name because they still have 10 victories, but you have been given the blueprint that they are very sus.
100%. This was a blueprint game. Every team playing them now from the Lions on should absolutely use this. You're great point, Winston, for sure.
It's just, and to be honest with you, you know what it is? It is, you go back and you look, and I'm not trying to toot our own horn. It was the Cowboys that started it. The Eagles were just being the Eagles. The Eagles have just fucked everybody up except for y'all in that one game, right? So they just did what they did. But watching our defense, and we have a good defense, and so does Detroit.
Yeah.
They shut down Dalvin Cook. I know Justin Jefferson is good, but if you shut down that run game, it's not just always like, Kirk Cousins' numbers are deceptive because he threw for 425, 2 touchdowns off of 3 sacks, no interceptions. It looks like he had this crazy rock star game. He technically did, but when there were moments that they needed him to step up and put those 10 incompletions were 10 incompletions at the worst possible time.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what that translates to.
I mean, and this is going to be, look, they have a soft ass schedule here to the end, because they play the Colts. Yeah, tough defense, but then again, y'all destroyed them. Then they play the Giants. Who knows what condition the Giants are going to be in on Christmas Eve. Then they play the Packers. Who knows who's going to be quarterback of the Packers when they play them in Green Bay. And then they play Chicago. So these are all 4, possibly by the time they play the Giants, teams with losing records that they're going to be playing here to end out the season. So yeah, they're probably most likely going to make the playoffs. But I'm telling you right now, they might be one and done in the first round. It's a very real possibility that those Vikings are out. And I swear to God, if my Commanders get in there and we play the Vikings, I'm relishing that. I'm relishing that revenge game. I want to see us get in there and get up in that ass, for God's sakes, and tear it apart is what I'm saying. Figuratively, not literally. So yeah, this is the thing I'm looking at here. So I think the Vikings are going to get in because that's a soft ass schedule to end the year. But they look suspect now with some of the losses they've taken over the last few weeks. So we'll see what happens. And these Lions, it's kind of crazy to look at the standings here for the Lions and where they're at right now in terms of the playoffs. And you look at the Lions right now, they are just below the Seahawks at 6-7, and the Seahawks are looking suspect, just below the Giants at 7-5-1. So if the Lions go on this tear here to end the year, and look, they've got the Jets next week. That's going to be a titanic clash between the two teams, one going down, one coming up. Let's see what happens. And then they've got the Panthers, the Bears, and the Packers. So very similar to the Vikings, but the Lions, if they run the table, could sneak their way into the playoffs in a wild card position. So I'm kind of rooting for them to see if Dan Campbell can get the job done, because going 1-6 and turning around, getting the playoffs is almost unheard of in the NFL. And getting that Jameson Williams guy back from injury, who was a player on the championship team for Alabama last year, getting him as a rookie is another offensive weapon for Jared Goff to use. So we shall see what happens with them. All right, let's move on to our next game. Just a reminder, the Streamlabs are open here for y'all to send stuff in. We can't do super chats because we're not monetized. We got 52 of you watching us right now. Thank you very much. Please make sure you hit a like on this video, and more than anything else, subscribe to the channel. Maybe you can't send any money in, and that's totally fine, but please subscribe to the channel at least and hit that bell button so we can get those subscribers. And for those of you who are joining us a little bit in the middle of the show, another thing y'all can do to help us out is to kind of put on our other content on this channel, the Game Time channel, not on the Outlaw Nation channel, the Game Time channel, put on our content so we can get some watch hours. Turn the sound down. Don't even watch it. Play video games. Watch it. Leave the room. Whatever. Just leave it playing so we get the watch hours. Got to get to 4,000 of those watch hours, and it ain't easy. So
bro,
you can help us. That would be awesome.
I mean, I'll say it when we're wrapping too. I'm getting there. I need the same thing over on my channel. Just do us a favor. Put a playlist together of these episodes of my shit and just run them. Just run them. One of y'all got like an iPad sitting in the background you don't use and shit, an Apple TV in another room, something. Come on now. Your mama don't use her computer. Borrow your mama computer and just put our shit on repeat, please. Maybe she'll fall in love with one of us.
I like Wingblade. Wingblade saying, I'm already subscribed. I can't subscribe any further. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. All right, let's move on to our next game here. And please send in your Streamlabs if you can. Let's talk about Winston's Cowboys here. They avoided a major upset to these Texans, taking care of business 27-23 because the Texans blew it on the goal line with a chance to go up by 10 on these Cowboys with mere minutes left in the game. The Cowboys had a great defensive stand, and there was some dumb play calling by the Texans and Driscoll running that offense. And they ended up getting the ball back, and Dak Prescott led them on a 98-yard drive that culminated in Ezekiel Elliott getting a touchdown with 41 seconds left for them to win this game. And look, the Houston is a one-win team, for God's sakes, and they were going to do this in Dallas against these Cowboys. And Dak Prescott did not have a good game at all. It looked kind of pedestrian, to be honest with you, was throwing some confounding interceptions. But as Mike McCarthy said after the game, look, talk about how bad the game went for us all you want, but we got the job done when it counted and got the W. So what do you take from this, Winston? What do you take from this game now as a Cowboys fan? There's nothing to say about the Texans, but what do you take away from this game as a Cowboys fan? Does this make you scared? Did you just overlook them and you got caught, but you got the job done?
It was a trap game. It was a trap game, and we fell for it. And fortunately, we're good. But the real thing that was scary, and we looked at it, you're asking for Dak to end up with another wild injury, because I didn't watch this game. It wasn't playing here locally because nobody gives a shit about the Texans this year.
Yeah.
So I only got to see kind of replays.
Right.
That dude, I think his name is Bell, that got put in for us over on the right tackle position, bro.
Yeah.
He almost got Dak permanently fucked up yet again because he would let people. It's almost like instead of being a bouncer, my guy goes, "Yeah, go on in." Like to every person, by all means, you want to go see Dak? Go see Dak, bro. One of those interceptions was not Dak's fault. One of those interceptions was that dude did not do his fucking job. He hit Dak as the ball's coming out of his hand, and dude was just waiting to see that duck come floating right into his little hands. So, like, do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
Prescott can be so suspect at times, bro. He can be so back and forth. But what I will say, and this is what he has in him, definitely that Kirk Cousins doesn't.
Yeah.
He does have the dog in him that if he needs to go get a dub, he'll do it.
Yeah.
He'll do it. But you just have to be in a situation where he can actually get taken care of. If his line is going to fail him on the pass protection, if anybody's line is going to fail them on the pass protection, that's just how it is. And we were down because of an injury, and this new guy was not the answer.
Yeah. But he threw, I guess you can say you can excuse one of the interceptions, but Jeremy Miller in the chat saying, like, we keep playing down to our competition. Do you feel that way as well? Do you think that you guys are playing down to the competition?
If that's the case, then the Vikings must be dog shit, because we walked them like they were our neighbor's dog, bro. Like we were on dog sitting duty. I don't know what it is also about us that for some reason this season we have found that the fourth quarter is when we decide we want to actually play.
Yeah.
You have an exception. They kind of fell apart in that Packers game. But I look at the Colts game, struggling, annihilation. The Bears game, let the Bears stay in it, annihilation.
Right.
Once the fourth quarter hit. And then same here. We are really just looking like assholes for most of this game. And then finally, fourth quarter is time to go in. What the Cowboys need to be very careful about.
Yeah.
it's okay to be a fourth quarter team, but you are going to sometimes find yourself in a hole that is too big to get the fuck out of, because even the game that we played against the Eagles, we played okay and then decided to turn it on the fourth, but the hole was too big by then. You could not rectify that problem, especially not with Cooper Rush, even though Cooper Rush had an excellent, 5 games? Excellent 5 games.
He did.
Do not get it twisted. He was great. There is a reason that he has not been a starting quarterback somewhere in the league. And so you have got to keep your shit together, not just in the fourth quarter, that whole phrase of not how you start, how you finish.
Yeah.
How you start does matter, because that's going to determine how hard you have to work to finish. Take it from somebody that procrastinates everything. Don't put it off till the fucking last minute. Start early, goddammit.
Or start ahead of time and fool yourself. It's supposed to come out earlier than it is. That's what I'd also get to.
That's you're just gonna throw shots underneath. What he's talking about is, I thought the embargo for Avatar was up today. I was about 2 seconds away from posting my review in a hurry because I thought, oh God, everybody was out at 9 a.m. I gotta hurry. Only for John to go, yeah, I gotta finish. I was like, finish, bitch. It was open at 9, and he goes, you mean 9 tomorrow? I go, well, fuck.
So, this is the game of the content creator, ladies and gentlemen, the game of the content creator. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with these Cowboys. I mean, this was a little bit suspect, but I still got faith in this team. This is a good team. It's a strong team. They got the job done. Sometimes you have these games where you kind of blow it, but they've got the Jaguars next. Got to be very interesting. Then the Eagles, then Titans, then us. So, going to be very interesting to see how the Cowboys do down the stretch over these next 4 games, to see what position they're in going into the playoffs. Obviously, they're not going to win the division unless there's a colossal meltdown by the Eagles, but they will be in a pole position and maybe host a game, and that could be very interesting for these Cowboys for sure. Doesn't mean it's going to be victory, as the 49ers found out last year, but could be a good situation for them for sure, or last season rather. So, all right, we'll see what happens, but let's move on to our next game here, and that is the San Diego Chargers, which Winston and I were going around about earlier. Justin Herbert and the shorthanded defense here. Oh, and speaking of which, shout out to the Bills, too. Sadly, Von Miller out for the season with an injury, and they stepped up in defense against these Jets. We'll see if that continues for them. But with the Chargers, they got some people back here. Justin Herbert threw for 367 yards and a touchdown, and they beat Tua and the Dolphins here 23-17, which moved the Chargers into 7th place and into the final AFC playoff position ahead of the Jets, because the Jets lost here. And remember, Herbert and Tua were literally selected back-to-back in the same draft in 2020. Herbert completed a career-high 39 passes on 51 attempts for his 21st 300-yard game, and he was the first NFL quarterback to throw for 13,000 yards in his first 3 seasons. No other NFL quarterback has ever done that. So that speaks volumes about the future of Justin Herbert as a quarterback. Tyreek Hill got 2 touchdowns for the Dolphins as well, but Tua had the worst game of his career as NFL starter, 10 of 28 for 145 yards and a touchdown, and the Chargers held Miami with their shorthanded defense to 219 yards, despite not having Derwin James, Bryce Callahan, and defensive lineman Sebastian Joseph Day. And Mike Williams came back for the Chargers, had 6 catches for 116 yards and a touchdown. Austin Eckler getting 104 yards rushing. What happened here, Winston? What happened to the Dolphins? What happened to Tua? Did they figure things out with Tua? Have they now, as you said earlier, a blueprint for how to beat the Vikings, the Cowboys? Do you think the Chargers kind of laid out a blueprint for how to beat what it seemed to be a juggernaut of an offense in these Dolphins?
Yes and no. I think that, everybody is allowed a bad game.
Sure.
Tua hasn't had one. He has been completely just whooping the shit out of pretty much everybody he's been playing, or it's been close, but he's kept his cool and handled it. I think what it is this was, again, a trap for Miami. I think you look at the Chargers and how wishy-washy they've been about whether they're good or not. So you think that you can kind of walk away with this.
Yeah.
But like I said, Herbert hasn't had his weapons. Herbert hasn't had protection. And you gave him both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, who have yet to play a game together this season, if I remember correctly.
Right. They have.
Or they started, I want to say, that first week, but then already somebody got hurt.
So need a game together this season. Yeah.
And you got them both. And they win off. Like collectively, they went for over 200 yards and a touchdown and for 16 receptions and accounted for 20 of his 51 attempts, 20 of his targets. So like, of course, if you give him his two best weapons, he's going to go off. And before you even look at Eckler and go, well, he didn't have a great game. He still put up over like overall scrimmage yards.
Yeah.
He put up over 100 and a touchdown. So like you had his three best offensive weapons out there. He had time to like cook and do stuff. I loved watching this game. There was one throw in particular that was in the perfect window. And you watched my guy, Keenan Allen, go, ooh, that throw. Yeah. He looked at it, he just started pointing. He said, what? Like, that was absolutely wild, bro.
Yeah. Collinsworth couldn't stop complimenting him last night. And certainly Collinsworth, being a former NFL wide receiver, knows quarterbacks, knows what he's looking at when he's looking at quarterbacks. I think, I said this on way back on Collider Sports when we had our show on Collider Sports that I felt like Justin Herbert was going to be the quarterback out of this draft that would surprise everybody. And sure enough, because I thought him spending 4 years at Oregon was great for him. People thought, oh, he spent 4 years, so it was not good. He was learning his craft. And for whatever reason, took his time, wanted to stay the whole time. And we're seeing the results. The first quarterback ever to throw for 13,000 yards in his first 3 seasons. That speaks volumes. And these teams, it isn't like the Chargers have been winning 14 games a season. They've been struggling and haven't made the playoffs yet, I don't think, under Herbert. So this could change the dynamic if they get into the playoffs, get a taste of it. Good experience for this team, good experience for Herbert. And the sky's the limit with this guy. Two is an interesting question. We look at these Dolphins now. Now let's look at this Dolphins now real quick, Winston. You see them, they started out by beating the Patriots. We see the Patriots are shaky. They beat the Ravens. Ravens defense has been shaky when they came back on them after they were down by so many. They escaped the Bills on that messed up out of bounds play, but then they lost to the Bengals, lost to Jets, lost to Vikings because Tua wasn't playing. Tua comes back. Then they beat the Steelers, the Lions when they weren't the Lions, the Bears, the Browns, the Texans, then get demolished by the 49ers and now beat by these Chargers. So did we pump up this team a bit too much? Did we pump up Tua a bit too much? Because the victories are mostly against teams with losing records. And the losses are losses against teams with winning records. So even with Tua at quarterback. So do we have to reevaluate this team, reevaluate the Dolphins' chances, and reevaluate Tua as a quarterback?
I can't even listen to that right now because I guess T.Y. Hilton is our receiver now.
You just got T.Y. Hilton.
I don't know how I feel about that because I thought
OBJ's not going.
That would be my assumption. You're not paying for both.
Yeah.
Look, if he comes in, I'm sorry, I'll come back to the Chargers in a second and to if T.Y. the Dolphins, if T.Y. still has juice in the tank, then this is a great signing. But as of last seeing him, he didn't.
But do you need him to be a possession receiver? You don't need him to be a game breaker, right?
I was wanting whoever comes in, but I was wanting whoever that came in provides enough of a threat that you take more of the heat off of CD to do stuff. And then if CD is being double or triple covered, that whoever we got is going to burn folks. So as long as he has something in the tank, fine.
Yeah.
But I just, the last time I remember seeing T.Y., I don't think that was the case. Now, I really like the guy. I was a huge fan of him in his peak. So I want him to be good. I want him to be good so bad if that's the decision we've made. And who knows, because someone made a good point. OBJ probably don't got no knees. They're like, he's out here saying, I don't see the point of playing regular season. He has made it very clear that he's not joining a team until the playoffs.
Yeah.
But maybe he ain't got no knees. I don't know if he's working out with people.
And don't discount the stuff that happened on the airplane. There could be something else going on behind the scenes that they're not talking about. And his agent said it was an over-aggressive flight attendant or whatever nonsense they put up there to mess with someone who's not making that much money compared to OBJ. But there could be real shit going on here behind the scenes where he may be on some stuff. He may be using some stuff, maybe on some medication that's not working well with his body, or something's going on. And maybe the knees issue, maybe he's taking that medication to deal with the pain from the knees. Who knows? But maybe the Cowboys kicked the tires on this and realized, oh, we're getting a Trojan horse. We're not getting the actual OBJ that played so well last year. Maybe those injuries last year kind of took their toll on OBJ. and he can't quite perform like they were hoping. And so they had some concerns, and then went and got T.Y. Hilton, a proven veteran receiver, played for Andrew Luck, played for the Colts for all those years. So we'll see what he's got in the tank.
I know. I think the thing that scares me though is the Colts, who Lord knows they've got some new studs in their receiver.
Yeah,
but you could have used every bit. No, you could have used every bit of help you could possibly get your hands on, especially with Matt Ryan struggling. So that's why I'm saying, why wouldn't they sign him in some form or fashion?
Maybe they felt just like the Colts have a record of doing this, though. You know this, Winston. I mean, maybe T.Y. went to them and said, look, I'm going nowhere here. Can you guys trade me to a contender if an opportunity opens up? And maybe they did because of all the years of service that T.Y. has given to that.
He was a free agent.
Well, okay. So there we go. So maybe they didn't want to. Maybe T.Y. turned down the overtures. Maybe he didn't want to come back because he didn't like the situation, didn't want to be fourth string or whatever, and then wanted to open the door to go someplace else. And why not to a playoff contender like the Cowboys and see what he can do there as a possession receiver?
I get it. I'm looking at his stats over the last couple of years. He had a decent year in 2020.
Yeah, but you think of who was the quarterback for those fucking teams, man.
I understand. But like, 2020 he was okay. He looked at 56 receptions for 762 and 5 touchdowns. But in 2019, he only played 10 games. He had 45 receptions for 500. And then last year he only played 10 games. 23 receptions for 331. Like, I don't know. Maybe they know something I don't, but I genuinely am concerned about this.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We'll find out what happens for sure. But
back to the Dolphins.
5 catch.
Let's go.
Yeah, Dolphins. Go ahead.
Dolphins. So they are still, in my opinion, the team to be the most scared of out of the AFC East. I know everybody is on the Bills, but we just said it. The Bills are not dominating the way they were advertised to me. I watched this epic trailer and then I saw the movie, and it wasn't a bad movie, but it was like not what I was promised. That's how I feel, versus like I saw this little trailer for the Dolphins. I was like, what is this? And like, it's not a big budget, here's $300 million ass movie, but it's still like you got Tariq Hill in this bitch. Wow. Oh man! Oh, that Waddle up and coming. I like that. And that Tua, man. Wow, what a gripping story. That's what I kind of feel about the Dolphins, and so I expect them to have some bumps. I think Mike McDaniel needs some stuff he needs to learn as a head coach. But other than that, bro, this is going as it should go, and I promise you, they will make noise in the playoffs. I think there are teams that are championship ready. Think that's the Dolphins, but I could see the Dolphins potentially making the AFC Championship.
Maybe. I got to see more. When I reassess them now, I have questions, and I want to see what happens as we go over these next 4 games with the Dolphins and see what we've got with them. Because I mean, they got who do they got here? They've got the Bills in Buffalo next week. That's or coming up here rather. That's a Thursday night game, I believe. Then they've got the Packers on Christmas Day, probably a victory. Then they've got the Patriots, which who knows what's going to happen in that game. And then they play the Jets. The Jets could be playing for their playoff lives in that game against the Dolphins. So could be very, very interesting to see what happens with these Dolphins. If they go on a little bit of a losing streak, it could, end up having to reassess this entire season and reassess Tua and reassess all the love people seem to have for Mike McDaniel. So we shall see when this is all over. So we shall see. Oh, Saturday night on the NFL Network. Okay. Thanks, Justin. All right. So that's it for that block. So let's take a quick break. We'll jump into the rest of the NFL and get some World Cup news going on as we wrap up the last half hour of the show. You haven't sent any Streamlabs, ladies and gentlemen. Please, I'd love for y'all to send some Streamlabs. The address is pinned in the chat, as well as subscribing to the channel down below would really be good for us. So, all right, we'll be right back right after this. All right, let's get into the best of the rest of the NFL here, Winston. I'm going to throw these all out. You tell me what you want to talk about. The Jags upset the Titans here, exposing the Tennessee Titans yet again as Trevor Lawrence threw for 3 touchdowns in a career high, 368 yards, also ran for a score, beat him 36-22. The Panthers upset your Geno Smith and the Seahawks 30-24. Sam Darnold threw a touchdown pass. Chuba Hubbard and Raheem Blackshear had rushing touchdowns. And I'll be damned, the Carolina Panthers got themselves back into the division race to win their division with this victory. Baker Mayfield, who was let go by the Browns, was on a plane, flew to LA, started for the Rams, and led them.
Panthers.
Panthers. And not the Browns. Sorry, Panthers. Yes, led the Rams to a victory there on Thursday Night Football, 17-16, with 2 late fourth quarter touchdowns. Looking like Mark Brunell throwing those 2 late fourth quarter, fourth down touchdowns against the Cowboys years ago. Anyway, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs outlasted the Broncos here, 34-28 as well. And Russell Wilson was concussed here. Brett Rittman came in at the end, but threw an interception after the Broncos had come back on the Chiefs and made it. But Patrick Mahomes, 3 interceptions that day against the Broncos. So do we have questions here? Burrow and the Bengals topped the Browns 23-10 for their 5th straight win. And the Ravens squeaked by the Steelers 16-14, thanks to Mitch Trubisky throwing 3 touchdowns. Old Chicago Bear Mitch Trubisky showed up in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform and threw 3 interceptions, rather, to blow the game here against the Ravens. And the Ravens lost Lamar Jackson and Tyrod Taylor there in the game and brought in Anthony Brown, who did just enough to lead the Ravens to this victory. So, Winston, which game do you want to talk about, or what do you want to talk about? What stands out to you here?
I got a couple.
Okay.
The first is the Jaguars now scare me a little bit. I knew that this is another trap game. No, real talk. It's another trap game we got to play this coming weekend.
Yeah.
Against the Jaguars. So that's something to keep an eye out for. While I believe they are not mathematically eliminated for all intents and purposes, they are pretty much done. But that makes them even more dangerous because they aren't fully done, and nothing makes somebody who's down and out more than making somebody else suffer with them. So I really hope we're paying attention to this game and don't fall for this same trap. I think the 2 biggest stories out of this, the first is the fact that once again, it out of a divorce came a situation where both parties were happier when it was all said and done.
Yeah.
The Panthers, at Baker's request, let Baker go, and they go and get a dub against the Seahawks, and that bums me out because I'm not saying the Geno Smith story is done.
Right.
But we're on a slide now. And so now is the time that if you've ever done tug of war, John, you know that there's a moment that if you do not plant and stop that momentum in the negative direction, you're lost. And so this is the time for Seattle and for Geno Smith to plant their feet and start pulling their ass off because the Niners look ridiculous. The rest of, and the NFC, the Lions look ridiculous. I meant the 49ers, but the Lions and the 49ers both look ridiculous. And it is already going to be a little tricky to grab one of those wild card spots. So you have got to hold on for dear life. But good for the Panthers for getting this. And I cannot believe they just need to win out. But the real story here is Baker Mayfield. He had a somewhat pedestrian game most of the game. Yeah. But then when it was time to put up or shut up, Baker Mayfield said, "Bitch, this Hollywood. It's my story." And he finally learned what main character energy felt like, bro, because it looked like all of a sudden we were following this the entire time, that the lesson was learned. I genuinely hope, because he has been a little full of himself. He's occasionally been a prick, but that whole process in this fall from grace has been kind of sad. And so if he can ultimately come out of this and put together a decent career, I don't want people to flunk out of the NFL. Nobody likes that unless you're a shitty person. Like when what was his name? Greg, we unfortunately picked him up for a season. He threw his girlfriend on like the bed of guns.
Hardy. Is it Hardy?
Greg Hardy. Happy to watch him wash out.
Oh, absolutely.
Because fuck him. Yeah. But Baker has just been kind of egotistical. Yeah. And it's not necessarily his fault. I mean, it is because you bought into it. But Cleveland loves sucking their athletes' dicks so hard because there's nothing else to do in Cleveland that your ego just inflates, bro. It gets huge. And so I'm not surprised that if Baker had that in him at all, that you're our guy, that all of a sudden he's just So he's been humbled. I hope this is a redemption story because that was a really great game to start potentially his next phase of his career.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with Baker because Baker has a habit of playing one great game and then throwing 3 interceptions the next game. So we'll see how he does. And the Rams aren't playing for anything except respectability now. There's no way they're getting in the playoffs. So we'll see what he ends up doing with these Los Angeles Rams as they end the year. And look, you can't ask for a better coach to maybe get you better, work on your mechanics. If he stays with these Rams through the offseason and replaces Stafford, or at least is a backup to Stafford, maybe some of his mechanics, some of his instincts can be like kind of coached out of him by someone like Shanahan. So that's a very possible. Oh, sorry, not Shanahan. McVay. So this is a real possibility for Baker to maybe resuscitate himself on the third team and see if he can do something, at least for a year or two, and see what he's got with these Rams. Possibilities. I mean, he got Jared Goff into a Super Bowl, so I have a feeling he can do something here with Baker Mayfield as well. For me, look, Trevor Lawrence looks fantastic. It looks like, he started out the year looking like he was good, then had a little bit of rocky middle. Now he seems to be coming on. This kid is going to have something to say, and I like it. Doug Peterson doing a really good job with him. So we will see next year how these Jaguars play with Trevor Lawrence. Like Trevor's coming on. Look, the future looks bright for quarterbacks in the NFL, for these young quarterbacks coming in. Herbert, Tua, even guys like Mike White coming in and doing their job. Brock Purdy could be a jewel, could be the next Tom Brady in terms of being a late rounder that comes in and becomes a starter for your team and leads it for a while. And you got to talk about Trevor Lawrence being a part of this mix as well. A lot of good young quarterbacks are coming. It's going to be fun to watch to see them develop here over the next few years for sure. So I like that for him as well. Darnold, necessary Baker, we talked about the Chiefs. Somebody posted that I have a blood feud again with Sean Brennan saying, of course, all Rocha wants to talk about is Mahomes' 3 interceptions, not the play of the year. The Rocha Mahomes blood feud continues. Like, I do not have a blood feud with Patrick Mahomes, but I mean, how can I not talk about 3 interceptions for God's sake? It's my job to analyze the game. So, 3 interceptions. He did a great job. But look, that defense of yours is suspect. Y'all were up, like 25-0 or 21-0 on these Broncos. And you look like you get the game well in hand and you let them come back. And to Russell's credit, he was fantastic in that game, but sadly got a concussion, and a pretty brutal concussion. I don't know if you guys have seen the knot on his head. Go to Twitter. They've got a picture of the knot on his head. He got rocked. And so we'll see what happens as the year goes on, because they got eliminated from the playoffs. So maybe you sit Russell, let Brett Rippon play, let him recover, let him heal. You don't want to have permanent injury for Russell Wilson, and then see what he can do with a new season and what you've got there. But what's the other one that I want? Oh yeah, the Titans are suspect. Super suspect. For all the talk about Mark Vrabel, the Titans are suspect right now, and so I got questions about them. We will see how they finish out the year, but there's no way Ryan Tannehill can do it anymore the way he used to, and I think there's a real problem. And Derrick Henry is starting to fumble the ball with more frequency than he has in past seasons, and that's also scary if you're the Titans and he's your premier star player. And, oh, yeah, this all happened the same week that they fired their general manager who let A.J. Brown go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Right after that game, 2 days later, they fired him. So that tells you volumes about what's going on in Tennessee right now, which is starting to feel like a little bit of a dumpster fire, to be honest with you. And shout out to Joe Burrow and these Bengals, man, taking care of business. They look like they're ready, man. They won 5 straight. They turned that corner. They're scary, man. Yeah.
I finally found it, bro. It looks like a goddamn hornet sting on his head.
Oh, yeah, the thing. Wow. Yeah.
That's not good.
It's pretty rough. And if this is where he was injured, we can take a look at it real quick. This is where he was going. He was just absolutely nailed, and he laid motionless. Look, you see, look at those eyes. He's gone, man. He just fell right there. It was not anyone necessarily falling on top of his head. It was just him hitting the ground, hitting the turf, but certainly being hit in this way as he was going down. The weight of the Kansas City Chiefs linebacker on top of him, that certainly caused the problem right there. So certainly a rough situation for Russell. Wish him the best. Hope he recovers, because like Winston, I don't want Russell to crash out of the NFL either. I like Russell, and I want him to come back.
If I were Denver, he's going into protocol. You're eliminated from the playoffs. I think you kick the tires on what other quarterbacks are on the roster. Just keep him out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if he's healthy a week later,
Even if he protests to play.
No. Keep him out. Keep him out.
Absolutely, man. All right, let's move on to some World Cup stuff here, Winston. I want to get into stuff going on with the U.S. national team. But first, Grant Wahl, one of the premier, I would argue the premier soccer football writer in the United States, surprisingly passed away at 48 years old. There's a lot of questions surrounding his death. He had been suffering with bronchitis, had some issues going on with himself not feeling so well. He had altercations with security at the World Cup a few days ago when he tried to enter with a pro-LGBTQ shirt on because his brother is gay, so he was trying to show support for his brother there. Walked in, was detained, and eventually was let into the arena. But one of the journalists who was there, because apparently a couple of journalists saw this go down, said there was no defibrillator at all available in the stadium. And this is the premier stadium. The final is going to be held in the stadium where Grant Wahl died in that press box. And there was no defibrillator there to jumpstart his heart, to help him. They were just doing chest compressions for 20, 30 minutes. Took forever for the ambulance to get there. They got him to the hospital. He died either in transit or once he got to the hospital. Those details are being worked out here. The U.S. State Department is involved now. His wife is not going to come out and say too many things. She wants to let the State Department handle this, but this looks real suspect, man. Yes, he was sick. Yes, he had bronchitis. I've had bronchitis. I know it's fucking murder, but you've got to take care of yourself. Was he pushing himself? Was he not resting? He was saying he was only getting 5 hours a night. Was that what led to this situation? Or was there something else? And is there negligence here that the Qatar officials, who crowing about how great their World Cup is and their premier stadiums, didn't have someone there who was a doctor in the press box to be available just in case something happened, or at least a defibrillator close by to help anybody have? So when you hear this story, what do you think about with this?
The very first thing when I heard it, I immediately, before I heard anything else, went to foul play. And it's not to say that someone couldn't have just died while in Qatar. I just, knowing everything that has surrounded this World Cup and what it took to build the stadiums and everything, I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it. Now to know all of that, to be honest with you, to know that he was wearing the shirt, the LGBTQ shirt, the rainbow shirt, like the day before and all that, I don't know, man. This still feels super fishy to me. I mean, if the State Department truly gets to the end of this and they go, everything's fine, I guess.
Yeah, but
this feels suspect to me. It feels so suspect. I don't know, dude. I think that's correct. I see someone just said it too. I think Wahl had asked some questions.
Yes.
Regarding the poor work safety.
Yep. Oh, he was one of the reporters who was talking about it for sure. Yes.
And how much has FIFA specifically, but FIFA and Qatar being like, can we just focus on the soccer? That'd be really good. Like, we're here for a World Cup. Like, let's not. And truthfully, and it makes me sad, John Oliver called it. And we talked about this last. Called it the minute kickoff started. Nobody was going to give a fuck. And truthfully, no one has. The only two times we've talked about any of the stuff that has been sketchy with Qatar has been when that one protester ran across the field. We haven't heard shit about that person. I would not be surprised if that person is also not among the living anymore. Right. But then this is the only other time, because everybody was like, yeah, pneumonia, but what? You know, and so I genuinely hope, because I'm not trying to be out here seeing motherfuckers get murdered over shit. I am genuinely hoping this was just a tragic case of pneumonia got the better of him, because it happens. People do die from pneumonia. Bernie Mac died from pneumonia. So we'll see.
And when you get it, listen, I've had walking pneumonia. It feels like death. I've had bronchitis on more than one occasion. I had it right after COVID earlier this year. Scared me to pieces. I mean, I cried multiple nights because it felt like I was glimpsing my death. That's how close it comes. You really do feel it. You really legitimately feel it. And it's scary if it's not treated. So to hear he was still working and only getting 5 hours of sleep a night, that is pushing your body to the limit. Even if he did, there still should have been precautions in that press box with so many of the world's press there. You want to have a doctor just in case. You don't know what can happen. Some of them are older. Some of them are eating not well. So you want to have a doctor or a defibrillator around in case anything happens. So the fact that they had no precautions being taken in a situation like this, there is, I think, some blame to go around here for sure. And look, Grant Wahl, this is a guy who he got me to understand the game even more. He got me to get even deeper into the love of the game because, of course, my dad's going to teach me. He was going to teach me as Latino to Latino for sure. But analysis, understanding the game, formations, understanding impulses, all of this Grant Wahl taught me, and it inspired me to go read other reporters from other countries to read about the game and their approaches to the game. So there is so much involved here. I bought the Beckham Experiment, a fantastic book. I would recommend it to you all, where he details Beckham coming to the States, playing for the Galaxy, what was involved, all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Is a fascinating book. He wrote for Sports Illustrated for 26 years. And even what Winston was referencing earlier as well, he was let go by Sports Illustrated when he pushed back on Sports Illustrated, wanting to cut the salaries of reporters because of COVID. And so he's a fighter, and he started a Substack, made money, started a podcast, made money. So he was able to survive. One of the premier guys, and everybody across the board spoke about how much they love Grant Wahl from multiple areas of sports who have come in contact with him, including LeBron, who he covered when LeBron was coming into the NBA, covered him when he was coming out of high school. So certainly there's relationships here, and this is why it's so sad and why people want to find out what the hell happened here for sure. So hopefully there will be updates down the road, but when it comes to us in the Middle East, man, I don't really give us, that much credibility, but we'll see.
Yikes.
We'll see. Let's move on to another thing. A little bit of drama here with the U.S. men's national team going on here, Winston. The coach, the manager, Greg Berhalter, who is right now possibly in negotiations for extending his contract after he crashed out of the World Cup with that 3-1 dismal performance against the Netherlands. How can I say this? Sources spoke to The Athletic, and they leaked information about Gio Reyna because of the big complaint against Berhalter. The entire World Cup soccer was, why isn't Gio Reyna starting? This 20-year-old wonderkin who is the son of Claudio Reyna, who used to play for us on the national team. He was dubbed Captain America. He was such a great player for us. Why was he left off the starting lineups? Why did he only come in and play a half at the end there against the Netherlands? What was the issue here? And apparently, according to the sources that spoke to The Athletic, they were speaking about, they said that Gio Reyna didn't meet expectations. He was goofing off in training, wasn't focused, and apparently there was a vote taken by the players to send Reyna home, and he wasn't sent home because it was 13-12. One extra player voted for him to stay, but since this report came out, a number of people who are like Taylor Twellman, a number of other people who are dialed into the situation have come out and said this is utter horseshit. This never happened. He apologized to the team when the coaches called him out about his dedication. But and Gio Reyna even today issued a statement through his Instagram saying, I was told by the coach this would stay behind the scenes. We did have a difference of opinion about things. I apologized. I was committed to the team. I showed him I was committed to the team. So this to me stinks of a manager who fucked up that knockout round game against the Netherlands, heard the screams of Gio Reyna should have been starting the whole time because we barely scored any goals, and is trying to save his reputation so he can retain the job as the coach of the United States men's national team. You tell me, this kid's only 20 years old. You tell me what you take from this. What's your assessment? What's your feeling?
What's the old saying? There's his story, her story in this case, also his story, and then somewhere in between is the truth.
Yeah.
I think two things are happening at the same time. I think that Gio probably did fuck up and wasn't meeting expectations.
Certainly he's owning it on his Instagram post. Yeah.
I certainly see him being equally as pissed of, I was told that this wasn't going to leave our conversation, and then some shadiness maybe coming out of the management, like you said, to try and hold on to his job, and potentially because of the criticism. I think you're getting to see both of those things happen at the same time. And there you go. And I would not be surprised if it wasn't just soccer related. I don't know anybody's romantic situation or anything like that, but I see someone right there saying that there's a rumor that Gio got with Berhalter. Don't think that that's probably what's going on, but who knows?
That's what happened 2 cycles ago with John Hart. Was it? It was one of the players who didn't come, wasn't selected for the national team because under Steve Sampson because he was sleeping with one of the strikers' wives, and yeah, that became a whole drama. I think it was Harks and Winalda. I think it was.
So that's a whole thing, but I think at the end of the day, I think you're sitting here and you're trying to figure out what was missing. And I think that we're still missing a lot. And I think there is something to be said when you have a kid that talented and he's not playing, whether it's because of his own fault or because poor management. Yeah, I think that this is a scramble to try and put some blame and recover. That's what this feels like to me.
I think it's terrible because of a 20-year-old player. This is a 20-year-old player who has fought back through multiple injuries at Borussia Dortmund, fought back through multiple injuries to play for us on the national team. And I think a lot of people who know football, know soccer, know American players were excited to see what Gio Reyna could do. And sure enough, in the friendly, right after they got knocked out, he went back to play for his German team. He scored a goal in the first game back here a few days ago. So this kid was clearly railroaded in some way. Maybe he fucked off. Maybe he didn't want to listen to Berhalter. Maybe he felt Berhalter's tactics were bullshit because they were defensive minded. Remember, Berhalter's a defender. And so maybe he felt like they weren't offensive minded enough to really make an impact in the World Cup. In the end, he was voted down or called down and called out about it. And then he took his lumps and apologized. And now they're going after him because the cacophony of voices has gotten louder to call for Berhalter to not be the coach anymore, or the manager rather anymore. And I want to bring up Gio's statements here. He said, I hope to not comment on matters at the World Cup. It is my belief that things happen in a team setting ought to remain private. That being said, statements have been made that reflect on my professionalism and my character, so I feel the need to make a brief statement just before the World Cup. Before the World Cup, Coach Berhalter told me that my role at the tournament would be very limited. I was devastated. I'm someone who plays with pride and passion. Soccer is my life. I believe in my abilities. I fully expected and desperately wanted to contribute to the play of a talented group as we tried to make a statement at the World Cup. I am a very emotional person, and I fully acknowledge that I let my emotions get the best of me. So he's owning it. I get the best of me and affect my training and behavior for a few days after learning about my limited role. I apologize to my teammates and coach for this, and I was told I was forgiven. Therefore, I shook off the disappointment and gave everything I had on and off the field. I am disappointed that there is continuing coverage of this matter, as well as some highly fictionalized versions of events, and extremely surprised that anyone on the U.S. men's staff team would contribute to it. Berhalter has always said that issues with the rise within the team will stay in-house so we can focus on team unity and progress. I love my team. I love representing my country. I'm focusing now on only improving and growing as a soccer player and a person. So that is some strong commentary from him there, defending himself. And it is a character because that affects your paycheck. That affects what team you play for. That affects what managers want to manage you. So he fucked up. He's 20 years old. Who doesn't get emotional at 20? And he's got all the talent in the world. He owned it, apologized. It should have been enough. But Berhalter's sources ran out and told The Athletic and all these other people. I think this is a really insidious thing by Greg Berhalter to do. I blame him. I don't blame anybody else. I blame him. These are his people who did this, in my opinion. And I think this is an ugly thing for him to do. And I hope he steps down like a man, falls on his sword, and gets the fuck out of the way so a better manager can manage our team in 2026. That's it.
I mean, shit. Okay. You can't. That was some passion there yourself, Rocha. You be getting emotional, my guy.
I know, it's true.
You
when I do, I apologize. Yeah.
No, I know. But I'm saying, like, I'm impressed. You were like, this bitch, if you don't move, coming after a child, sir. Be a man, bitch.
We've all been 20, Winston. We've all been 20.
I know. And I think with a kid that talented, if there's any rumor that he is a coach and that coaching staff are being harder on Latinos, because I see someone saying that's not the first time I've heard that. Yep. I've heard that they've been really trying to push. We're American. If you are pushing away some of the best talent in the fucking world over some ego shit, so we never actually win. When you got the Netherlands out here who don't fuck with niggas and the whole team is black, and neither does France or none of these motherfucking places, and everybody got brothers in this bitch, and you pushing all the Latinos, boy, I swear to God.
I mean, I would have a problem with it as well, because I mean, this is a kid who comes from good stock. His dad is a diehard in the wool American who represented us when we were having some of the great World Cup runs that we had back in the 2000s and 90s. Great guy, Claudio Reyna, still involved in the MLS system, involved in the Soccer Hall of Fame down there in Austin. There's no way this kid comes out of that and doesn't want to bleed red, white, and blue. So to have a coach like this with a very limited sense of thinking and ego kind of railroad this kid through the press, I think is an ugly thing to have happen for sure. But anyway, but let's wrap it up there because we gotta. I know, Winston, you got to get going. So thank you all so much for joining us here on this fun episode of Game Time. We appreciate it madly. Winston, where can they find your brother and all you got going on?
Absolutely. You can find me at the Swaggy Blurred here on YouTube and on all platforms, man. As you have heard, my Avatar review will be out tomorrow at 9 a.m. when the review embargo is done. I've done an instant reaction if you want to check that out. But I appreciate it. It's the same thing. If you can with this channel over there too, open up my channel. Just let it run for a bit. Got some really funny sketches there. Got some new ones coming out in 2023. I can't wait for, as well as the I need to catch up with the Law and Order Sports victims over here on YouTube, man. But it's been good. It's been a fun time over there. So follow me there and on all socials, man. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Definitely follow him, ladies and gentlemen. You can follow me as well at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. And please subscribe to this channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button. Keep hammering that home, for God's sakes. And as Winston said, please play our content, leave it on, turn the sound off, so we'll get the watch hours. Trying to get to that 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours so we can monetize this channel. Would appreciate it madly. For those of you who love the hot mic, we are going to be going live in 30 minutes to talk about the Golden Globes nominations here. Jeff Snyder and I breaking it down on the Outlaw Nation channel. So come and join me there in 30 minutes with Jeff Snyder talking about it. Snyder ain't going to be short of opinion. So we're going to have a fun conversation for sure. But thank you all so much. Sorry we didn't get any Streamlabs. Someone said it's broken maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But we appreciate it madly. Come and find us over there on the Outlaw Nation channel. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of Game Time. Peace.